Village nestled in the rolling hills, an angel of the Lord appeared to the wife of Manoah, a barren woman. The angel foretold that she would conceive and bear a son who would begin the deliverance of her people. This child, named Samson, was to be a Nazarite from birth, set apart for God, and his hair was never to be cut.
True to the angel's words, a son was born to Manoah and his wife. They named him Samson, and the boy grew, and the Lord blessed him, and the Spirit of the Lord began to stir him as he matured. As a young man, Samson wandered into a dense forest. Along the way, a young lion sprang at him. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon Samson, and with his bare hands, he tore the lion apart as one might tear a young goat. Yet he told neither his father nor his mother what he had done. At a grand wedding feast, lively and festive, Samson fell in love with a woman from a bustling town, and he arranged to marry her. At the wedding feast, he posed a riddle to 30 guests, wagering 30 linen garments and 30 sets of clothes. Out of the eater something to eat, and out of the strong something sweet. The riddle referred to the lion he had slain and the honey he later found in its carcass. Unable to solve the riddle, the guest threatened Samson's wife, forcing her to coax the answer from him. On the seventh day, she succeeded. The guests then answered the riddle as Samson realized he had been betrayed. In anger, he went to a nearby town, struck down 30 men, and gave their clothes to the guests who had solved the riddle. Burning with anger, Samson returned to his father's house, abandoning his wife. Later, during the wheat harvest, he sought reconciliation, only to find she had been given to another man. In revenge, he caught 300 foxes, tied their tails together in pairs, and fastened a torch to every pair of tails. He lit the torches and let the foxes loose in the countryside, destroying their crops. The townspeople, enraged by the destruction, raided the nearby villages. The men of one village, fearing further reprisal, went to capture Samson. They bound him with new ropes and brought him to the townspeople. As they approached, the Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson mightily. He snapped the ropes and, finding a fresh jawbone of a donkey, struck down 1,000 men. After the great battle, Samson was very thirsty. He cried out to the Lord, and the Lord opened a hollow place in the plateau. The water came out of it. Samson drank, his strength returned, and he called the place En-Hakkore, which means spring of the caller. Samson went to a coastal city and saw a woman there. The townspeople learned of his presence and surrounded the place, lying in wait to capture him at dawn. But Samson arose at midnight, took hold of the city gates and the 2 posts, pulled them up and carried them to the top of a hill outside the city. In a lush valley, Samson met a woman named Delilah. She was beautiful and captivating, and Samson fell deeply in love with her. The local ruler saw an opportunity in this relationship and approached Delilah with a proposition. For 1,100 pieces of silver, she was to discover the secret of Samson's strength. Delilah, enticed by the promise of wealth, agreed to betray Samson. She began to coax and question him, seeking the secret of his strength. Samson, not wanting to reveal the truth, told her that being bound with fresh bowstring would weaken him. She bound him while he was asleep, but he snapped the bowstring easily when the townspeople came upon him. Delilah tried again, and Samson told her that being bound with new ropes would make him as weak as any other man. She bound him with new ropes, but again he snapped them as if they were threads when the townspeople ambushed him. Frustrated but determined, Delilah pressed Samson further. This time, he told her that weaving the 7 braids of his hair into fabric on a loom would drain his strength. Delilah did so while he slept, but Samson awoke and pulled away when the townspeople attacked. Delilah, desperate and relentless, continued to nag Samson daily until he was vexed to death. Finally, Samson revealed the truth. His strength was in his uncut hair, a sign of his Nazarite vow to God. Delilah lured him to sleep on her lap, and a man shaved off the 7 locks of his hair. Samson's strength left him, and he awoke powerless. The townspeople seized Samson. They gouged out his eyes and took him to the coastal city. Bound in bronze shackles, he was sent to grinding grain in the prison, a shadow of the mighty man he once was. But as he toiled, his hair began to grow back, and with it, the possibility of his strength returning. The local rulers gathered to offer a great sacrifice to their sea god and to celebrate their victory over Samson. They brought Samson out to entertain them, mocking and jeering at the once mighty warrior. Standing between the pillars that supported the temple, Samson asked the servant who held his hand to place him where he would feel the pillars. He prayed to the Lord, asking for strength one last time, so he might avenge his eyes on the townspeople. With renewed strength from the Lord, Samson pushed with all his might against the pillars. The temple collapsed, killing Samson and all the townspeople inside. In his death, Samson destroyed more of his enemies than he had during his entire life. The rumble of the temple lay silent, a testament to the power and the fall of Samson. His brothers and his father's whole family went down to fetch him. They brought him back and buried him peacefully in their hometown. Samson had led his people for 20 years. Thus ended the life of Samson, a man chosen by God, who was both mighty and flawed. His story is one of great strength, love, and betrayal, a reminder of the complexity of human nature and the power of faith. Though he fell to his weaknesses, his final act was one of redemption, striking a blow against the enemies of his people. The tale of Samson and Delilah echoes through history, a story of the rise and fall of a man destined for greatness, and the enduring hope for redemption and strength in the face of adversities.